Good evening and welcome to a brief edition of the news. Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Ayman al-Safadi discussed with his Belgian counterpart Didier Reynders in Brussels prospects of forging closer economic ties and political coordination between the two countries. The meeting focused on the latest developments in the region and efforts to solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict based on the two-state solution. The ministers also discussed anti-terrorism efforts and Syria. Safadi briefed his Belgian counterpart on the situation in southern Syria and Jordan's efforts with the United States and Russia to ensure that a ceasefire there holds. Jordan, he said, backs efforts to end fighting in all of Syria as a first step toward achieving political solutions that preserve the country's unity and independence. Safadi also reviewed the repercussions of the Syrian refugee crisis on Jordan, and both ministers urged the international community to further support the kingdom. Also in Brussels, Safadi co-chaired the 12th meeting of the EU-Jordan Association Council alongside Federica Mogherini, the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Security Policy and Vice President of the EU Commission. In a joint press conference with Mogherini, Safadi said they agreed to work together on regional issues, including Syria and the two-state solution.
And I want to add my voice to that of Her Excellency in thanking the EU for finalizing the MFA, a loan of soft loan of 200 million euros that will go to supporting the budget at a time when Jordan is dealing with the repercussion of regional crises that have placed tremendous burdens on our economy and put us in a very sort of difficult situation in terms of trying to respond to the needs of over 20% of our population now who are of Syrian refugees. We've had the opportunity also to address regional challenges, particularly the Arab-Israeli conflict. As you mentioned, we stand together in pursuing a lasting Palestinian-Israeli peace on the basis of the two-state solution, which we believe is the only solution that can bring about a lasting resolution to this conflict that is the core conflict in the region. We also discussed the situation in Syria, and I had the opportunity to brief Her Excellency, as she said, on the situation on the south. In Jordan, we share the EU, I believe, in believing that there is no military solution to the conflict and that we all have to work towards a political solution that would put this war to an end and that would preserve the integrity, independence and sovereignty of Syria. The fighting is producing nothing but more killing and more destruction to the Syrian people, and that's something that we in Jordan want to stop.
Mogherini said Jordan and the EU saw eye to eye on all issues, including the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and Syria.
We discussed also our common work and our common priority in terms of relaunching the Middle East peace process. Jordan and the European Union share the same approach to this file, not the only one. The same desire to see a relaunching of the process based on the two-state solution, and we are determined to work together hand in hand to this purpose. I'll stop here, thanking you once again for the excellent cooperation. For sure I forget many other issues we cooperate on in an excellent manner. I would also like to thank the Minister, all his delegation, His Majesty, the King of Jordan, for having intensified enormously the contacts at all levels we've had.
Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi formally declared victory over Daesh in Mosul. Abadi made the announcement in a speech on state television, marking the biggest defeat for the terror group. He said he was announcing the end and collapse of the terrorist state of falsehood and terrorism, which Daesh announced from Mosul. However, gunfire and explosions could still be heard as the US-led coalition pounded the remaining few positions where a few dozen terrorists put up resistance. UN envoy Staffan de Mistura said agreements to de-escalate the fighting in Syria could lead to a phase of stabilizing the country. De-escalation, he said, must be an interim stage on the path to a national ceasefire. must not undermine Syrian territorial integrity, and must not lead to partition. The Mistura made the remarks as a fresh round of UN-sponsored talks resumed in Geneva. Hours before the start of the talks, a US-Russia brokered ceasefire came into effect in southwest Syria and was still holding. The UN Cultural Organization UNESCO added an ancient Palestinian shrine in the occupied West Bank to its World Heritage List, prompting Israel to further cut its funding to the United Nations. UNESCO designated Hebron and the Ibrahimi Mosque a Palestinian World Heritage Site in danger among its list of 21 sites. Also on the list were the ancient Iranian city of Yazd and a sacred Japanese island where women are not allowed, among others. In Hebron, Israeli troops shot dead a Palestinian man north of the city. The Israeli army claimed the Palestinian driver tried to run down and then stab Israeli soldiers near a Jewish settlement. In Tokyo, a Japanese artist used about 8,000 goldfish, as well as other sea creatures, to bring an art installation to life. Art Aquarium is celebrating its 10th year since its first launch in 2007 and attracts millions of visitors every year. And finally, it will be warm tonight and hot tomorrow, with temperatures 7 to 8 degrees above seasonal average, soaring to 38 degrees Celsius in Amman. The Gulf of Aqaba can expect a low of 29 tonight and a high of 45 tomorrow, with light winds and calm seas. With this, we come to the end of our news in brief. I'm Dana Abu Sham. Thanks for watching and have a good night.